The costume looks great.
Welcome back, ScreenRanters. Actors will put everything into getting a part. As a result, once they get the magic phone call that confirms their casting, they can explode with emotions wherever they are. The actor might be an up-and-comer, or they could be a veteran that really wants the part due to their love of the character. Either way, they will react in an intense fashion once they hear that sweet news. Today, we're going to look back at some of the actors that had the biggest reaction or story when they got the part. So grab your Konstantin Stanislavski book and let's get started. In 2021, Robert Pattinson will don the famous cape and cowl as Batman for a new chapter in the DCEU. Yeah, sorry about that, Batfleck. Yet, when the news broke of his new role, Pattinson wasn't too happy, as at the time, he wasn't actually confirmed for the part, yet the news spoke about him pretty much securing it already. In fact, he hadn't even done the audition yet. Pattinson was livid with the leak. Since the film was covered in secrecy, he felt this public news would ruin his chances of becoming Bruce Wayne and getting the chance to show off his Bat credit card. Ever since he found out that Matt Reeves would be directing a gritty film all about the early days of Batman, the former Edward Cullen was desperate for the role. Pattinson still persisted with getting the part once the leaked casting swept across the internet. He even practiced his audition during the Cannes Film Festival. It wasn't until he stepped onto the set for Christopher Nolan's Tenet on his first day that Pattinson would get his answer. He released a phone call that confirmed he got the part. Pattinson became Battinson, which is a strange coincidence since Nolan is considered one of the best directors for the Caped Crusader.
A little dramatic.
Today, Star Wars is somewhat of a big deal. Alright, it's one of the biggest film franchises of all time, but back in the early to mid-70s, it was just a strange sci-fi film being planned. Well, at the time, Carrie Fisher was a fresh face in the industry. She had little in the way of acting credits on screen. Regardless, she auditioned for the role of Princess Leia in Episode 4, A New Hope. She didn't expect anything back. Yet, the then 19-year-old got the life-changing call from her agent. As soon as they confirmed her new role, Fisher ran out into the streets of Los Angeles as it poured down with rain, making it sound like a cliché rom-com trope. Strangely enough, Fisher's mother, Debbie Reynolds, was in 1952's Singin' in the Rain. Perhaps that influenced her daughter on the soggy night? After all the celebrating, Fisher was told to lose 10 pounds for the part, which likely dampened the news a tad, as then she feared if she didn't, she would lose this amazing opportunity. In later interviews, Fisher has stated that she would have loved to have played Han Solo because, quote, that was the best part, unquote. For 5 months, Tom Holland undertook one audition after another to become Spider-Man in Captain America: Civil War, a role the young actor was desperate to play. On the last audition, he was simply told that he would know the following day if he was successful. Well, 6 weeks later, Holland was still waiting. Then, one day, he was looking through Instagram. He saw a post from Marvel that said to go to their website to find out who the new Spider-Man would be. Holland did just that and saw his name as Peter Parker. Instantly, he celebrated. He ran around the house in celebration, scaring his dog in the process. However, his brother said that Marvel could have been hacked. He suggested that Holland check before getting ahead of himself, as Marvel probably would have called him. So he spoke to his agents. They were happy for him, but had no official confirmation. Eventually, Kevin Feige called Holland and told him the big news. Holland had to tell Feige that he already knew thanks to Instagram. Many fans have joked that they didn't tell Holland in case he spoiled it. He has a bit of a reputation. Casting director Marcy Learoff believed that she had found the actor to play Elliot for 1982's E.T. the Extraterrestrial, so she got all the acting kids and took them to the writer's house. There, they played Dungeons and Dragons to see how the kids interact with each other. Unfortunately, the kids didn't get on well with the Elliot actor. He was too bossy, so Learoff had to search again. Eventually, Henry Thomas was put forward. He flew out to LA and read the script. Then, Thomas immediately did a recorded improvisational audition with actor Steven Spielberg watching. Lucky for us, the video was released online for the world to see. Considering Thomas only had a couple of screen credits at this point, he acted like a 40-year veteran. Within moments, Thomas blew everyone in the room away. Behind the cameras, those watching found themselves crying as Thomas became distraught at having E.T. taken away from him. Spielberg kept nudging Mike Fenton, who was playing the NASA employee, to tell Thomas he can keep E.T. to make the young actor happy. At the end of the audition, Spielberg instantly told a smiling Thomas he had the part. Back in the days when Pierce Brosnan was still James Bond, the producers felt the winds of change coming. Barbara Broccoli wanted Daniel Craig to take on the British super spy. She saw him in the role of John Ballard in 1998's Elizabeth film and knew he was the chosen one. However, Craig wasn't as keen. He didn't feel as though he could portray Bond in the same fashion as the previous actors did. In 2004, it was announced that Brosnan was leaving the role. Craig had the part in the bag. All he had to do was say yes, but he was incredibly hesitant. He used a lot of bad words in his response, but essentially, he told the filmmakers he didn't want the role. The reason Craig rejected the role was because he was afraid of the sudden fame that would come his way. Once Craig saw the script for Casino Royale, he changed his tune. In previous years, the Bond films were seen as being a bit campy, easy watching fun. Casino Royale was going to make Bond grittier, darker, and more layered again. This stoked Craig's interest, so he decided to take on the iconic role as 007.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
All the way back before 1985, Whoopi Goldberg was really only known for her theater performance on Broadway in her self-titled show. She then heard Alice Walker on the radio reading from the book The Color Purple. Goldberg was so touched by the reading that she had to get in touch with Walker. She sent a fan letter. In it, Goldberg said that if she ever turned the novel into a film, she would love to be in it, even if that meant playing, quote, dirt on the floor, unquote. A little while later, Goldberg received a purple envelope. Walker had sent a reply that she knew who Goldberg was. She had actually watched her show. Walker said that she already passed on Goldberg's details to the filmmakers. The director, Steven Spielberg, who's making his second appearance in this video, got in touch with Goldberg. He offered her the role of Celie Johnson, but Goldberg was hesitant. She told Spielberg that she was used to performing in front of audiences. He replied by saying that there would be an audience. All the crew. The lens has thousands of audience members within as well. Feeling reassured, Goldberg accepted the dream role. Throughout his early career, Henry Cavill kept coming up short in auditions. He went for Cedric Diggory in Harry Potter, only for Robert Pattinson to magically take it. He went for Edward Cullen in Twilight, only for Pattinson to sink his fangs into the role once more. So when Cavill went for the role of Superman in 2013's Man of Steel, he did not have high hopes. He stated that he didn't feel physically ready at the time to wear the red, yellow, and blue spandex. He was probably expecting Pattinson to swoop in at the last moment and take it as well. So, as Cavill hadn't heard anything for a while, he needed to distract himself. He got on his computer and started playing World of Warcraft. As he was playing the popular fantasy MMORPG, Cavill's phone rang. The person on the other end confirmed it. Cavill would be Clark Kent in the DCEU. After hanging up, Cavill just sat there for 5 minutes. He stared into space as his mind rapidly processed this astonishing information. He finally got the role he desperately wanted. After that, we're just hoping that he yelled out, "Leroy Jenkins!" and then ran in celebration. Yeah.
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
In the run-up to Moana, casting director Rachel Sutton had seen hundreds of actors audition for the main role. The last performer on her list was then 14-year-old Auli'i Cravalho. She's from Hawaii, making her a top choice for the ancient Polynesian film. Weeks went by until Cravalho and her mother, Puanani Cravalho, received an email inviting them to an official audition for the role of Moana. After that, Auli'i was then invited to an online callback with the filmmakers, which was recorded. Cravalho, who was already excited with the mere mention of getting the role, did one take after another. As it turns out, the filmmakers were messing with her. They were always going to offer her the part. Once they confirmed it, Cravalho was ecstatic. She immediately thanks them as she celebrates. Cravalho then calls her mom on the phone and tells her the good news, as well as telling the filmmakers their methods were sneaky. Supernatural's Castiel is just the best, at least besides from his heel turn in season 6, while the actor behind Castiel, Misha Collins, is just a national treasure all the time. In the 4th season of Supernatural, Collins made his debut as the trenchcoat-wearing angel. Originally, it was just a guest part. Nothing long-term was planned, yet every so often, Collins' short contract would be extended by the creators. Collins has stated that the experience was like, quote, supernatural and I dated before we got married, unquote. In season 7, the two parties broke up to see what happens and explore what the other fish in the sea is like, but thankfully, it didn't work out. Collins came back into the arms of the supernatural team. During the show's heyday, Collins has stated that he pinches himself regularly to make sure it's all real, that he's actually there. When the cast and crew were told that season 15 would be the last one, they all broke down in tears due to the emotional moment. Collins has said it was the saddest and happiest moment in his life.
We need to talk, Dean.
When Marvel put out an open casting call for an untitled project, Jacob Batalon sent off his audition tape. At the time, he was studying at a New York film school. He was soon contacted by an MCU representative to attend a test screen in LA with Tom Holland for Spider-Man Homecoming. At the test, Jacob was extremely nervous as he performed, so he wasn't expecting to be taken on. He was told by Marvel that he would find out either way in a couple of weeks. After 2.5 months, Jacob still hadn't heard anything, so he believed it was a no from the MCU. In May 2016, Jacob went for a walk to clear his mind and ended up at Bryant Park. He then got a call from his manager. They confirmed that Marvel wanted him for the role of Ned Leeds. As soon as Jacob hung up, he began crying, screaming, and running up the streets of the Big Apple. Many of the people nearby were concerned about this shrieking guy sprinting around. Unfortunately, this reaction caused Jacob to miss his train, putting a bit of a downer on a pretty swell day. And that's a wrap. Have you ever exploded with joy for getting cast or securing a non-acting job? Pop your stories below. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe. All of those actions really help us out. Finally, thanks for joining us today. Bye.